ठीक, यही ऑब्जेक्टिविटी ये रहने दो। हाँ, now let us continue with the topic aptitude. Now the next heading in the aptitude is objectivity. Okay, now let us understand what is objectivity. So the term objectivity refers to the ability to judge, means objectivity is directly related to judge, means it should be fair. When we examine any queries or examine any case study, it must be examined in a fairly manner. It should not be with any bias. Okay, it should not be any bias or external influence. It means that when we say any case study or any issues have to be examined objectively, it means that it must be examined considering the rules, regulation, law, norms, precedent, etc. And it should not deviate from these rules. So objectivity does not gives you to examine any case openly. It binds you to examine within the framework of rule, regulation, law, precedents, notifications, memorandum, etc. So it is generally says that judge fairly, means examine fairly. While examining any case, we should not have any external influence, because if there is an external influence, it means it is biased decision, and there is no scope of biased decision in a objectivity. Now question arises, when you say the bureaucrat must exercise their duties abiding rules and procedure. What I have said earlier, it is clear here. So all the bureaucrats is expected that while examining the case, they should follow the rules, regulation, procedure. They are not supposed to move away from these restrictions given through rules and procedures, regulation, etc. Next we can move, the bureaucrat must be rational and legal. Again, now question is, what is rational? Rational means logical. Rational means logical. So while taking decision by the bureaucrat, he must be rational, means he must be logical. Logical means it must be justified with reasons, and legal backing it should be there, means what action we are taking, it should have legal backing. It means there must be any rules, regulation, procedure, law, act, etc. Now let us move next. It is the reason that bureaucrat should be objective in his decision. Now see, what we have studied just now, due to these reasons, it is said that bureaucrat must be objective. In a simple way, we can say that bureaucrat must act objectively, so it must be, decision must be rational, decision must be legal, decision are abiding rules, regulation, procedures, etc. Now you can see newspaper article about ruling party and economic issues means if the newspaper are based on rules, regulation, rational, legal procedure, and it is have backing of any reasons, then only we can say that any news articles are based on a objectivity. Okay, now something which inhibits impartial judgment cannot be objective. Again, you can see it says that any decision, any act which inhibits impartial judgment means anything which influences us, anything which influences us to make a partial decision cannot be objective, because objective decision must be without bias or without any external influence. Let us move next. You see here it is very important. The concept of objectivity is mind independent. Mind independent. See, a square has 4 angles. You cannot change the number of angle while saying that it is a square. A square means it does not have more than 4 angles. Means here by thinking or by applying our mind, we cannot change the number of angle in a square or number of angle in triangle, etc. So it is said that mind independent. In another word, for bureaucrats, while examining, first time how bureaucrat examines object, if the bureaucrat is examining any case objectively, it means that he will first see what is the policy related to the subject issue. Based on that policy, rules, regulation, and without any external bias, they takes decision and they come to conclusion. It means that it is a mind independent, means objective decision are dependent on rules, regulation, without any bias, law, etc. Next, again we say objectivity is mind independent. Next, how we consider our views, attitude, etc. means while examining the case objectively, we are not supposed to give our views. We are not supposed to act according to our attitude, etc. There are many subjective things. You just see what is subjective. Subjective is just opposite to the objectivity. Subjective is mind dependent process. Subjectivity is here officers, bureaucrat can apply his views, can apply his attitude, etc. For example, the case of subjectivity. The taste of ice cream is influenced by your views. Again, taste of ice cream. Some ice creams are liked by some people. Another ice creams are liked by another people. So there is a view. I like this, I don't like this. It means that we are taking decision on the basis of our views. Some people like red shirt, some people like black shirt, some people like white shirt. Again, like view. Views can be different according to the different people. So these concepts are concept of subjectivity. Now we move further. Objectivity is based on real facts. It is based on real facts and logic, which we have studied earlier, and is not influenced by personal belief or feeling. So it is clear again. So it is rational. Rational means what is logical is rational, and most of the time impersonal in nature means there is no personal opinion, personal attitudes, personal views are not taking part while taking decisions. Now next. Again you see, public servant should not ignore facts or relevant consideration when he is making any decisions. You see, public servant should not ignore facts or relevant consideration. Means facts means rule, regulation, policies, or regular why we are considering certain things. So public servant have to take their decision based on facts, relevant considerations, etc. Even those facts against personal belief. It is clear. The facts can be against the personal belief in case of examining the case objectively. Next, we move. Objectivity is not always desirable and possible. Here now you see. Now the question is, objectivity vis-a-vis subjectivity. Now you listen. Objectivity binds officer to take decision in a particular manner. So here officer does not take decision subjectively, but there are many instances where decision must be taken subjectively while not ignoring objectively. There are many cases while implementing different types of development program, for example, rural development program. Theoretically, rules, regulation, law are broadly encrypted, but when the officer goes on the field and when they start applying those policies, applying those development programs with objectivity, they see many hurdles are there. At that time, they use their mind, officers use their mind, and with the same rule, regulation, acts, they analyze these policies and take decision in a manner which is in the public welfare, and they might be little bit deviate from the objectively. So it is said that clerks are expected to be objective. Means while processing the case, clerk should not apply their mind. They just make a case study with rules and regulation. When the file goes to higher officials, then they can use their views, opinion, precedence over the case. They will analyze the case, they will examine the case, and examination during examination, they apply their mind, they apply their logic, they apply many mental capabilities to come with a good conclusion wherein they can deviate from objectivity. So, the good officer is always those officers who are master in examining the case subjectively, though it does not mean that he doesn't know rules, regulation. Okay, so now it is written, see, sometimes it contradicts our values. If the officer is smart, what value? Many times when we examine anything objectively, sometimes it goes against values. So, the officer who examines applying their mind, they want to apply these values in the decision making. If values are incorporated in the decision making, it means that the officer is examining the case. Now, subjectivity means objectivity fixed officer's purview of examination, but subjective examination opens or increases the zone of examination to better conclusion in the public interest. So again it is written here, same thing, objectivity expected from clerks and DM. Implementation of rural development plan means simple. Lower officers are expected with objective examination of the case, and higher officials are expected to take a subjective analysis of the case. Next. Acha, now we will move again. There are 4 terms. Compassion for the weaker section. In this context, we will study about the 4. In a simple manner, you just apathy. Suppose there is one people, the another. He has certain grievances and he is officer. He is public. Okay, so A will speak about his grievances. B, the officer, even not take any interest. He will not take any interest in the grievances of A. It is a case of apathy. Simple one, but again we will move into the deeper part. Then we come empathy. Empathy means the officer will listen to the grievance. The officer will think that if he would be in the position of A, then what would have been his position would be. He will think that I am A and the A position is very pathetic. Then he think about that, and here he has deeper emotion, and B is very much concerned about the problem or grievance of A. Similarly, sympathy, A, B. The difference between sympathy and empathy is that in empathy, the degree of emotion is more as compared to the sympathy. In empathy, degree of emotion is more, and in sympathy, degree of emotion is little bit lesser than empathy. And in compassion, compassion is an extreme form, and it is said that all the officers must be compassionate towards the weaker section of a society, towards the weaker section of society. So in compassion, the officer will listen everything, every problem, and here emotion is maximum, and now the officer will try hard to eliminate the problem of A. So in compassion, officers listen carefully. Here emotion is very strong, and he will take decision in the welfare of the general public. So the public can be away from his grievances. So public's grievances would be redressed by the officer. In a simple manner, this is so. In the public administration, it is expected that all the government officer, public servant must show sympathy, must show empathy, and must show compassion, while taking any decision. And since India is a welfare state, so it is expected that public servant must act in this manner. Now we can see apathy. It is just moves what is written in your slide. It is a state of indifference in which there is no emotion, Clear? Such as concern. There is no concern, no excitement. Some people come, it appears that he doesn't care anything, no motivation, and there is no passion shown towards the people who are in problem, general public who are having a grievance. Next, for example, it is written here, you can say that here officer will listen to the problem with no concentration, and there is no role of emotion, Clear? Now you can say empathy. Here you see, you have to put yourself in another man's place. Okay, I have clarified it. To understand his pain and sorrow. Next, you move understanding of nature and intensity of problem is there. It means officer here understand the nature and intensity of problem of a general public. Empathy is more sustainable than a sympathy. It means that the intensity of emotion is more in case of empathy, and the emotion, the time period of, या ऐसे बोल सकते हैं, the retention period of emotion in case of empathy is high, more. So it retains in the officer's mind for more period of time, and being empathetic involves a deeper relation than being sympathetic. It means that in sympathetic, the intensity of emotion is less, the sustainability is less as compared to empathy. So the empathic person understands the nature of problem, its causes and consequences. What will happen? Next, you see example here, civil servant will listen to the problem carefully, experience pain and sorrow of the person by putting himself in that situation, deeper emotional experience. The emotion here is more sustainable than sympathy. Sympathetic officer, he will listen to the problem carefully. In this case, kindness is shown. You see, in this case, kindness is shown, means temporary emotion. This is the basic difference between sympathy and empathy. In empathy, emotion is more permanent or more sustainable in a nature. Next. Now it is very, very important. You will see in the syllabus, it is written that compassion towards the weaker section of the people, compassion towards the vulnerable people of the society, towards the vulnerable people of the society. So, see, compassion involves not only, you see, understanding the problem. Here you see, not only understanding the problem, here also officer understand the problem, but also desires to help or eliminate the suffering of the other. Here you can see the difference between sympathy, here we see the difference between sympathy and empathy and compassion. You see here the most important difference between these terms, that here in compassion, officer wants to eliminate the suffering of the other person. This basic difference is between compassion, empathy, and sympathy. Now we can move. Having compassion for another requires to put the other person, imagine what the person is going through. This is also in the case of empathy. Person is going through, and then work towards ways that can help the person feel better. It is repetitive nature, more clarified from here. Now, compassion, the officer who has compassion, about him it is said that, you see, walk among the kings and yet not lose common touch. Yes, not lose common touch means you are in the elite class, but your attitude is sympathetic towards weaker section. Your attitude is empathetic towards weaker section. Your attitude is compassionate towards the weaker section of a society. So it is written, it is empathy, compassion, both are required. Then only this statement can be true about the government servant or public servant. Here you see, understanding the problem, suffering more enduring. If we have empathy towards people in distress, we have already studied that in case of empathy, we can feel the suffering of people with more endurance. And now it is very important about a public servant. India is a developing country, so it is written that in developing countries there is always a greater chance of disconnect between bureaucracy and people. Here you just listen. Bureaucracy, general people. He is public servant. He is general public. In democracy, general public is supreme, and they show their supremacy during election period. Okay, and he is public servant, means bureaucrats have to, the charter of duty of bureaucrats have to serve the general, have to serve the general people. Together have to serve the general people. But it means that there must be a good connection, cordial relationship between bureaucracy and general public. Bureaucracy and general public, cordial relation. But what happens practically? This is not a cordial relation. If you want to meet SDM, if you want to meet DM, if you want to meet ACP, if you want to meet commissioner, all are government servant. What is their charter of duty? To serve the general public. But it is very difficult for the general public to meet directly to these officers. If direct interaction has more power, have more communication power with respect to anything which is written. So in general developing country, we will see that it is very difficult to meet general public to the bureaucrats. Bureaucrats thinks in developing country, in the social status hierarchy, they think that they are upper in societal hierarchy. They are high status people. They think that they are elite people. Once you think that this is a base, you have to be here, your foot must be here, but you think that I am a elite people, I am the topmost in the social status. If this type of feeling would be in the general public servant, then how can we expect empathy, sympathy, compassion, etc. with the general public? So it has been observed that in developing countries, there is a greater chance of a disconnect between bureaucracy and people, and bureaucrats are vulnerable to get entrapped. You see, they are vulnerable to get entrapped in distancing confines of the power of elites. What I have explained here, they think that they are powerful people in the society, and in this way they get disconnect from the general people. And about this, in 1980s there were a famous political commentator named as P. Shankar, had described IFs as a new Brahmical system in the governance of India, Now, they say that they think, as it is said that in a caste system, at the apex there is Brahmins. So in the social status, they think that as Brahmin they are higher in the society, so they are different from the general people. They are, so they do not want to get direct connection. If they get a direct connection to the general people, if they listen always to the general people, then how can they feed their ego? So in that case, it is very difficult to get egoed officer, to get mental or ego satisfaction. Okay, so in a nutshell, is till date also it is like this. You can say that today also there is a disconnect between general public and bureaucrat, and bureaucrat always thinks that they are superior amongst all other public servant or all other people, and it is not either desirable or it is not in the welfare of our country as well. You see, it is written that young entrant, young entrant to the bureaucrat system young entrant to the bureaucratic system are not showing significant sign of spreading their high-bearing aura in public hierarchy. In public hierarchy, still they think that they are at the highest level. Their status have been risen vertically. They think that their status have been risen vertically, and in this way they satisfies their ego. In this way they satisfies their ego. And what happens? The persisting disconnect between bureaucracy and bureaucracy's policymaker and the people who bear the brunt of the policies. Now you see, the person, the bureaucrat, they are making policies. For whom? For a general public. And they are disconnected with the general public. They are disconnected with the general public. They are not aware about the real problem of the general people. Then how we can expect that these public servants will make a policy which is beneficial, for the general public? It is like this. And now question next, then how this disconnect can be removed from the general public? How this disconnect can be removed from the public servant? It is said that it can be removed only through values. Which values? Values of empathy, value of compassion, value of sympathy, etc. These values have to be inculcated. These values have been inculcated to the public servant. And now you see, it is in the syllabus, ethics syllabus, and theory. One can fetch very good marks in ethics paper. It does not guarantee that he will be connected with the general people. He will be connected with the general people. So these things are basically inbuilt, basically innate, and can be inculcated. But in my opinion, these values are very difficult to inculcate by the officers or by the public servant, but it has to be developed. Otherwise, India will still face the disconnect between general public and the bureaucrats. So, the interesting thing to observe is that except few highly motivated and dedicated bureaucrats who have become a minority in civil service, more bothered with humble public since service, have not changed narrative of disconnect between the young bureaucrat and people. It is said that there are very little public servant who connects themselves with the general people, and till date also the sign is not very good. The indicators are not very good, which says that there is a good connect between general public and public servant. So what says, therefore, all the new entrant must realize that they are sons of the country. So they must show empathy and compassion towards the weaker section of society. Sons of the country, if India, Mother India, if everybody thinks that we are sons and daughters of the Mother India, then what we will think? We all are brothers and sisters. And this concept, if we will think like that, able to think like that, then this concept is known as a fraternity, and it is very difficult to achieve. We can think that from one mother, if there is 4 children, and it has been seen many times on maturity, when these children are mature, they are not having good relationship between them. So it is difficult that from one mother 4 children are there and they are not connected in a better manner. So it is very difficult to think that we all people of India are the sons and daughter of Mother India. If we are able to think like this, then we will say that we have achieved the concept of fraternity. And the word fraternity has also been mentioned in the preamble of our Constitution. Preamble of our Constitution. Till date, we haven't achieved the value of a fraternity. Now we are in a tolerance. You see, first tolerance. Simply you just tolerance. Suppose in a society, there are different groups of people. If in a society there are different groups of people, their religion may vary, their thoughts may vary, their culture may vary, their moral value may vary, their ethical value may vary, and their face, their race may vary, but if they are residing here in a peaceful manner, then we will say that they are tolerant to each other. And when there is a concept of tolerance, then there is relatively no or less violence, society will be calm and we will see prosperity in the society or in the country. Mahatma Gandhi was a great propounder of a concept of a tolerance. This is the basic concept. And now you just see tolerance refer fair, objective and permissive. Fair, objective and permissive attitude towards those whose opinion, practices, race, religion, nationality, etc. differ from our own. This I have already explained in this diagram. Next you can see it is an act of ability of enduring diversity. What diversity? Diversity of views. And this is very, very tough thing. To remaining at the same place, to remain at the same place with a diversity of view and practices and still living peacefully is a very, very important concept of a tolerance. Tolerance upholds what? Human right, dignified human right. Where there is a tolerance, people live with dignity, and dignified life is a fundamental right also. And now you see tolerance leads to this. I have told you earlier, tolerance leads to harmony. It leads to peace in a pluralistic society or pluralistic country like India. Next, the value of impartiality and objectivity also requires tolerance towards other as precondition. Now you see, here you will see the relationship between impartiality and objectivity. So, impartiality and objectivity are also a precondition of a tolerance. So, we can correlate between tolerance, impartiality and objectivity. Impartiality means we are not biased towards any other. So we are impartial. So we can conclude that impartiality and objectivity is a precondition to have a concept of a tolerance. Again you see, against tolerance, if there is intolerance, then what will happen? Intolerance promotes violence and injustice. And these are lines in the exam you will get. This line only explain. Intolerance promotes violence and injustice. This you have to explain. Intolerance reflect a narrow mindset. You see, suppose there is a family of X caste. If here after in marital relation 4 or 5 different castes are there in one family, then the family will be said as a broader mindset. And if a family does not accept any marriage outside their society or outside their caste, they will said as a narrow mindset. With so tolerance provides broader mindset. Intolerance provides narrow mindset. And for a good society or for a good country, the people must have a value of tolerance, not they should abide with intolerance. Intolerance thus reflect. Socially, it is also against the civilized living. Similarly, it is detrimental to societal progress and welfare. It says that when there is a intolerance, there is no tolerance, then there would be a violence in the society. Society will be in a turbulent state, and the development we will see not up to mark in the intolerant society. You can see these type of intolerant society in Afghanistan, in Arab country. They are mainly women's rights are being restricted, as well as there are many types of restriction which are against the human values, which are against the human values. Now we enter into the concept of integrity. Now we will enter into the concept of integrity. Now you first listen here. Integrity, honesty, plus here you see integrity. Integrity is something which is beyond honesty. Honesty is one of the component of integrity. One of the content of integrity means in integrity there is honesty, there is presence of all good values, there is presence of all good values, there is a consistency in the behavior and consistency in the attitude or consistency in the decision making. So integrity has a more scope, broader scope as compared to honesty, Integrity something means which will not destroy, which will not destroy. Integrity means mansa, vachana, karma, what we think, what we speak, and what is our conduct. These should be in one alignment. These should be in one alignment. So this is the generic concept of integrity. Now let us move more about integrity. Commonly it is said that he is a man of integrity. Explain. It can be asked in question. Explain. Integrity is something more than honesty. Here we have explained. And so the concept of integrity can be understood. Concept of integrity can be understood in three contexts: individual context, social context, and a professional context. So let us move further. Now, individual context. Here integrity is being explained. Here integrity is being explained. Integrity is being explained in the individual concept. So you see, integrity means to be honest. We have already studied. And see, consistency in thought. I have told you just now. Thought, speech, and action. Is it clear? Now you can move. It eliminates the gap between what we think, what we say, or what we do. So there is no parallax between these three: what we think, what we say, and what we do, what we does. Here one can say that our mind, speech, and body should be in consonance with each other. No issue. Integrity means integration of ideals, conviction, standard, belief, and behavior. Means when these values are integrated, integration makes it a concept of integrity. A man of integrity, never influenced by conditions. If condition change, it does not mean that his integrity will be changed. सुनते होंगे हम लोग, प्राण जाए पर वचन न जाए, बोलता है ना कि वैल्यू है, फिर वचन चला गया तो इसका मतलब ही इज नॉट अ पर्सन, अ मैन ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी. एंड प्रेशर फ्रॉम आउटसाइड, कभी कभी लोग बोलता है ना कि मैं मजबूर होकर के मुझे ये निर्णय लेना पड़ा. जब आप मजबूर हो गए, इट मीन डज नॉट मीन्स दैट you are a man of integrity. He would be respond to his conscience. Hamesha the person who is man of integrity will always speak from the conscience. वे हमेशा अपनी अंतरात्मा की आवाज सुनेगा. अंतरात्मा की आवाज सुनेगा. And about conscience we will study in detail in next chapter. There are two types of integrity: intellectual integrity and moral integrity. It means to be consistent and true to one's thinking, and to hold oneself to the same standard one expect other to be. Listen, कई बार आप सोचते हैं कि मेरे साथ वही हो तो आपको संतुष्टि मिलेगा, तो दूसरे भी यही सोचते हैं. क्या आप भी उनके साथ है ऐसा ही बिहेव करें, आप भी उनके साथ ऐसा ही बिहेव करें. सो एक्सपेक्टेशन मस्ट बी रेसिप्रोकल बेसिस, देन ओनली you will be said as a man of integrity. The same standard have to be shown by yourself, which is shown by the other people. It means that to practice what one advocates for others. Clear? It means consistency, honesty in the standard used for judging others as well as yourself. What I have said just now, it is same thing. Integrity is non-negotiable and non-selective quality. It is very, very important. Integrity is non-negotiable and non-selective quality. Now you see it is clearly written. What do you mean by non-negotiable? Non-negotiable means you will not compromise in any situation. Whether situation changes, then only you will not compromise with your values, with your ethics, with your moral, etc. And non-selective means, here you see, you cannot compromise it in any situation. You see, non-negotiable, any situation. Or here you see, non-negotiable means you cannot compromise on your integrity at any cost. You just see, non-negotiable at any, कुछ भी हो जाए, दुनिया इधर से उधर हो जाए, हम कंप्रोमाइज नहीं करेंगे। और कैसी भी परिस्थितियां हो, परिस्थितियां चेंज भी हो जाए तो हम नेगोशिएट नहीं करेंगे, हम अपनी इंटीग्रिटी पर बरकरार रहेंगे। इट इज नॉन सेलेक्टिव। सो यू मस्ट रिमेंबर नॉन नेगोशिएबल एंड नॉन नेगोशिएबल, नॉन सेलेक्टिव क्वालिटी। You see, integrity means doing right things. This is very, very important. Even when nobody watches you. You think, जब कभी हम लोग फादर के सामने, पेरेंट के सामने मान लो सिगरेट नहीं पीते हैं, है ना, और अकेले में जाके सिगरेट पी लिए, सोचते हैं कोई हमको तो देखा नहीं, तो ये आप इंटीग्रिटी नहीं है। कहता है आप उस समय भी अपना वैल्यू से इधर उधर नहीं होंगे जब आपको कोई आदमी वॉच नहीं कर रहा है। इन अदर वर्ड, कोई ऐसा समय नहीं है जब व्हेन नेचर विल नॉट सी अस। अकेले भी हैं तो नेचर के तो सामने है। इफ नेचर के सामने है तो गॉड इज देयर टू सी अस। अगर आप गॉड को नहीं मानते हैं, एनर्जी को मानते हैं, नेचर को मानते हैं, देन देयर इज नो प्लेस इन द वर्ल्ड वेयर यू आर सेक्लूडेड, यू आर अलोन, व्हेन अपार्ट फ्रॉम अस नोबडी सीज अस। नेचर ऑलवेज वुड बी देयर। अब देखिए, मैन ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी मीन्स देखिए, man of integrity means morality in action. Morality in action means while doing something, we does anything with the value of morality. It is a integrity. Integrity says that not being perfect, but being what you are. ये भी बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है। Nobody, आप जानते ही हैं, कोई भी चीज फ्रॉम इनफाइनाइट टू इनफाइनाइट जाता है, इनफाइनाइट टू इनफाइनाइट। कहता है कोई भी सब्जेक्टिव जो चीज कॉन्सेप्ट है, इसका ना अपर लिमिट है ना ही लोअर लिमिट है। मीन्स मोरालिटी, दीज थिंग्स आर सब्जेक्टिव इन नेचर। सो it says that it is not perfect, no one can become perfect, but जो भी है, बट बीइंग व्हाट यू आर, कम से कम आप जो हैं, जैसा भी हैं, वैसा ही अपने आप को पेश करें। यू प्रेजेंट लाइक दैट ओनली, देन यू आर अ पर्सन ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी। अब एक एग्जांपल आप देखिएगा अशोक खेमका के बारे में। अशोक खेमका 33 ईयर या 31 ईयर टोटल इन्होंने जॉब किया। हरियाणा कैडर के ये आईएएस थे। जस्ट थोड़े दिन पहले ये रिटायर हुए। यही थे, बहुत सारा हरियाणा में लैंड म्यूटेशन का केस और तरह तरह डीएलएफ जमीन का केस इन्होंने उजागर किया था। फॉर दैट ये आईएएस ऑफिसर को 31 या 33 ईयर के टोटल सर्विस में ही हैज बीन ट्रांसफर्ड फॉर 57 times. Still he didn't change his approach. He didn't compromise with his integrity. So he can be said as a man of integrity. He can be said as a man of integrity. Integrity also implies indifference to victory and loss. But it is basically theory. गीता में भी कहा गया है सम्यक चित्त होना चाहिए, जीत में और हार में एक जैसा आदमी को फील करना चाहिए। बट इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट एंड थ्योरी। बट ये तो हो सकता है ना कि कोई आदमी का एग्जाम में पेपर फेल किया, वन पर्सन टुक एक्सट्रीम स्टेप और वो सुसाइड कर लिया। अदर पर्सन जो है टेंशन हुआ, ये टेंशन बहुत दिन तक लिया। कुछ आदमी थोड़े दिन का टेंशन लिया और फिर अपने स्टडी वाले मेन काम में लग गया। तो कहता है इंटीग्रिटी कौन है, ये मैन ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी हुआ। तो सब्जेक्टिव चीज है, और इस जितना ज्यादा दिन तक आप उसी गम में खोए रहेंगे उतना दिन तो आप अपना अच्छा समय बर्बाद कर रहे हैं, अपने प्रिपरेशन को बर्बाद कर रहे हैं। तो इट इज प्रैक्टिकल, इट कैन बी डन। सो हमारा एटीट्यूड अप्रोच कैसा होना चाहिए? ठीक है, प्रॉफिट लॉस, विक्ट्री लॉस, इसका जो इफेक्ट है, सस्टेनेबिलिटी है, इट शुड बी फॉर अ लेसर पीरियड। इसी को कहा जाता है कि स्पोर्ट्समैन में ज्यादा जो खेल खेलता है, डेली हार जीत देखता है, तो बोलते हैं स्पोर्ट्समैन स्पिरिट, कि हार से तुरंत घबरा नहीं गए और जीत से तुरंत कूदने नहीं लगे, लोगों को गाली गलौज नहीं देने लगे, नॉर्मल बिहेव करिए। इट इज अगेन मैन ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी का, मैन ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी का दिस इज ऑल्सो ये लक्षण है। अब कहता है सोर्स ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी, ये जो है सोर्स ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी, 1 मिनट का पॉज कर लीजिए। हाँ, let us start. Now it is a source of integrity. अब आप देखिए, कहता है इंटीग्रिटी के बारे में हम लोग बहुत चीज पढ़ लिया। नाउ इट स्पीक दैट व्हाट इज द सोर्स ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी, इंटीग्रिटी का सोर्स क्या है, ठीक है ना। कहता है इंटीग्रिटी इज अ वैल्यू, it is a value which cannot be enforced through external control. Now you listen, integrity is a value which resides inside, so it cannot be enforced through external control, number one. So the source of integrity is moral reasoning and not profit loss reasoning. You understand this? Morality is the inner thing, individual concept. If we have a moral value, moral reasoning, then we can become a man of integrity. But when we will take decision on the basis of profit and loss, we cannot be a man of integrity. Now you see next, when you are going to take decision, है ना, when we feel weakness, one should go for the moral reasoning. जब आप कमजोर लगते हैं, जब आप वीक पड़ने लगते हैं, तो आप अपने अंदर की ओर झांकते हैं, यू सी इनसाइड योर सेल्फ एंड यू फाइंड सम वे। मोरल रीजनिंग मीन्स जजिंग थिंग। Moral reasoning, what does moral reasoning means? Judging things on the basis of right or wrong. कोई भी निर्णय हम लेते हैं तो ये निर्णय जब लेते हैं अपने अंतरात्मा की आवाज सुनते हैं कि हमको सही और गलत के आधार पर निर्णय लेना है। इट इज अ मोरल रीजनिंग rather than judging them on the basis of profit and loss. जब हम प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस के बेसिस पर डिसीजन लेंगे, दैट मीन्स वी आर नॉट अ मैन ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी। और जब हम मोरल रीजनिंग पर लेते हैं, राइट और रॉन्ग के बेसिस पर डिसीजन लेते हैं, देन वी आर अ मैन ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी। एकदम सिंपल। अब देखिए, इफ वन ब्राइब 10 lakhs is profitable but on the basis of morality is against public service और नेशनल इंटीग्रिटी, कोई समझ जाएगा। 10 लाख आप घूस लीजिएगा तो क्या होगा? 10 लाख घूस लेने से आपका प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी है, इंडिविजुअल आपको प्रॉफिट है, बट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ मोरल रीजनिंग, है ना, मोरल रीजनिंग का जो राइट और रॉन्ग, इट इज अगेंस्ट द मोरल रीजनिंग, और जो मोरल रीजनिंग के अगेंस्ट है वो पब्लिक सर्विस और नेशनल इंटरेस्ट, राष्ट्र हित के अगेंस्ट ही जाएगा। पब्लिक का पैसा हम अपने पास रख लेंगे तो ये तो नेशनल इंटरेस्ट में नहीं है। सोशल कॉन्टेक्स्ट, integrity describes a person. Integrity describes a person who willingly and consistently acts in accordance with the social norm and values of society. इसमें ये पकड़ लीजिए, social norm एंड वैल्यूज ऑफ सोसाइटी को ध्यान में रखते हुए इफ वी विल टेक अ डिसीजन देन इट इज अ integrity of the person in a social context. Now, integrity in a civil service. Integrity in a civil service. Now you see second ARC report. This report has been published during 2006 to 2009. Okay. अब कहता है ARC रिपोर्ट क्यों बनती है? To increase the efficiency of a public servant, public policies, governance, administrative reforms commission are being constituted. In the second ARC report, the integrity word have been defined, and it says that civil servant should be guided solely, केवल वो should be guided by the पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट। कहता है यहाँ इंटीग्रिटी को क्या कहता है कि केवल पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट में ही आपको काम करना है, और एक ही आपका इंटरेस्ट है पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट, और पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट में आप काम करेंगे तो क्या होगा, सिविल सर्विस पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट में काम करेंगे तभी माना जाएगा यू आर मैन ऑफ द इंटीग्रिटी। ये फिर वही चीज है, नॉट फाइनेंशियल कंसिडरेशन एज ए रिस्पेक्ट सर, इसको बढ़िया आगे। द फॉलोइंग इज एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम द सिविल सर्वेंट, जो नीचे दिया गया है इट इज एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम द सिविल सर्वेंट। सिविल सर्वेंट मस्ट फुलफिल हिज ड्यूटीज एंड ऑब्लिगेशन रेस्पॉन्सिबली। ठीक है, इसमें कुछ भी नया नहीं है, कहता है यू हैव टू परफॉर्म योर ड्यूटी एंड ऑब्लिगेशन रेस्पॉन्सिबली, act in a professional manner so people confidence can be improved। अब प्रोफेशनल में आएंगे, कहता है प्रोफेशनल मीन्स act in a way which is guided by rules, regulation, attitude, values, etc. It is a professional, then only we can earn the people confidence। Make sure that public money and other resources are used properly and efficiently. These things are expected from a public servant. Again, deals public affairs promptly, efficiently, effectively, sensitively, and to best of his ability. Handle information as openly as possible within the legal framework. It means that it is expected that public servant must act in a transparent manner, must act in a accountable manner, and next comply with the law। ये हम 10 बार बता चुका। uphold the administration of justice means impartial होइए, बायसनेस मत होइए, जो न्याय है उसके हिसाब से आप काम करिए, जो न्याय है उसके हिसाब से आप काम करिए। Now there is a relationship between integrity and efficiency. Integrity and efficiency. You see, integrity and efficiency is directly proportional. Simply you can understand that, okay? Simply you can understand that when a public servant will act with integrity, then the outcome would be efficient government, efficient public administration. And when there is a loss of integrity, means you are not honest. Not only honest, many things. When there is a loss of integrity, there is a corruption. There is a directly relationship between loss of integrity and corruption. Now again there is a very important thing. Now question arises, if a person is efficient but little corrupt, no, 0%, zero tolerance with corruption. A person cannot be efficient if he is corrupt. If a person is corrupt, he is not a man of integrity. And if he is a man of integrity, how can be he efficient? Is it clear now? Next you move. Efficiency implies doing one's job with the concern for maximum possible utilization of human, material, finance. These things are written that if a public person act in an efficient manner, then how we can achieve public goods, how we can achieve public goods. बंद हो गया है, हाँ लग रहा है बंद हो, चला दो 25 पर चला दो, 24 पर चला दो, गर्मी लग रहा है, हाँ ठीक, हाँ हाँ. You see, efficiency in government organization also means that the public official has a regard for higher goals of governance, including public welfare and dedication to public. This is the most important. Efficient government means, efficient governance means public servant will act in such a manner that there must be a public welfare and dedicated public servant, ठीक है, dedicated public servant, हाँ, dedicated public servant should be there. So dedication towards the public means welfare, general welfare, goodness to the general people of the society. Now, integrity and corruption. Just now we have read about it. You see, why there is a corruption? Nowadays, everyone wants to get more and more material things, which crops greed, greed. And due to this, we can see the corruption done by the public servant. Everybody urged to reap maximum benefits with minimum efforts. This is a trend in whole world. Minimum effort, maximum profit. It can be done only by corruption. And such a tendency led people to compromise on the integrity. Now question arises, why public servant sometimes make compromise with integrity? Because of material greed or to get maximum benefit with minimum effort. All these things brings up corruption. Now there is a topic, dedication to public service. ठीक है, dedication to public service. Now simply dedication means we are doing something persistently without any disturbance, even if there is no motivation, but this is our job. Even if work is boring, still we are doing it a proper way because it is our work. All these things constitutes dedication. So, dedication is a value that must be with the public servant. So, in another word, you can say that while performing public duties, public servant must act in a dedicated way. Must act in a dedicated way. ठीक है ना? Must act in a dedicated way. What Mahatma Gandhi said? Integrity is inherent to healthy nation. Now we know about it. Now you see, dedication is the quality of being able to apply one's time, attention, self entirely to the particular activity, cause, or a person. डेडिकेशन इज अ कमिटमेंट, जो अभी मैंने आप लोगों को बतलाया, यह कमिटमेंट है, पैशन है. पैशन मीन्स वी आर डूइंग समथिंग विच विथ हाई एनर्जी, विथ हाई इंटेंसिटी इज अ पैशन, and personal urge to achieve certain objective or devotion, particularly cause or action. Next, you can see what I have explained you earlier. Dedication gives the impression of moral zeal, commitment. One is bound or obliged because he had made a promise. What obliged? Made a promise to do any work which is in the interest of a general public. Dedication always of that one is devoted. ये देखो, even when there is no formal commitment, तो भी कमिटमेंट नहीं है, बट डिवोशन है, तो भी हमको डेडिकेशन से ये करना है. डेडिकेशन गिव्स यू स्ट्रेंथ टू मूव ऑन केस ऑफ एनी डिस्ट्रैक्शन. अगर आपको डिस्ट्रैक्शन हो भी रहा है, किसी भी प्रकार का विचलन है, तो भी आपको आगे बढ़ना है. वी स्पीक अबाउट पब्लिक सर्विस. इट इन्वॉल्व्स इंटीग्रिटी इन योरसेल्फ विथ द आइडिया ऑफ पब्लिक गुड और पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट. नेक्स्ट, इसमें देखिए नथिंग. हाँ, अब देखिए, दिस इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. अ डेडिकेटेड सिविल सर्वेंट will remain motivated even if a task given to him is a boring, अभी बताया आपको, unwanted, not exciting, because all work cannot be very enthusiastic, cannot be exciting, but it is these works are necessary for public welfare. So a dedicated officer will do it with full of dedication, even though these things are not there. So क्या लिखता है? Dedication provides a strength to the public servant, a strength to the public servant to work in a hostile condition. Means you can see army officer, armed forces officer, army, navy, paramilitary force, they are in congenial condition, but how they perform? They are doing their duty very, very efficiently and with full of dedication, even though it is not very exciting, though sometimes it is very boring also. So a dedicated civil servant is satisfied and happy. Look, very, very important. Dedicated civil service satisfied and happy with just doing his task. He enjoys the journey and work itself motivated. देखो, कहता है ये है essence. of डेडिकेटेड ऑफिसर। ये है इसेंस ऑफ डेडिकेटेड ऑफिसर। क्या है? कहता है डेडिकेटेड ऑफिसर है वो सेटिस्फाइड होगा, हैप्पी होगा। क्यों? तो जो भी काम कर रहा है, जो भी टास्क कर रहा है, वो क्योंकि वह देश के हित में वो काम कर रहा है, इस वैल्यू से वो जो भी काम कर रहा है उसको अंतरात्मा को संतुष्टि मिल रही है, और जो रास्ते चल रहा है, जो कार्य कर रहा है, उस कार्य को वो इंजॉय कर रहा है, और वो जो है कार्य करने की जो जर्नी है वह एंजॉय कर रहा है, एंड जो काम दिया हुआ है उसी से ये मोटिवेटेड है, इसीलिए ये डेडिकेशन से काम कर रहा है, और इस तरह से वह पब्लिक सर्विस बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से कर रहा है। सो फॉर अ जनरल पब्लिक, ठीक है, सो फॉर अ जनरल पब्लिक dedication is also very, very important public service value. The next important public service value is impartiality. Why there is a, this is legal law judge. So judge never act in a बायस मैनर। कभी भी जज बायस मैनर में काम नहीं करता है। इट इज एक्सपेक्टेड। सिमिलरली पब्लिक सर्वेंट इज नॉट एक्सपेक्टेड to do any work in a biased manner, and this concept in public service is impartiality. If you are partial, you are biased towards somebody. If you are impartial, you are not biased to certain people. So what is concept of impartiality? And impartiality is also one of the most important public service value. We will study in next class from here. So still we are in chapter aptitude. Next class we will start from public service value of impartiality. Thank you. बंद कर लो बुआ, हो गया, हो बंद कर लीजिए। थक जाते हैं।